So let's talk about some defensive options. Not a super strength of the character, but totally good enough. She's honestly good enough at defense. She has above average defensive tools. They're just not the best tools at that job. She'd rather be punching you instead. As far as whiff punishing goes, if you're trying to back off, right, they're keeping you out. They're doing a good job of avoiding mix-ups and keeping you out, right? So maybe you'll stay out for a little bit. Make them make the first move. You got forward 2-4 on deck to whiff punish everything. Forward 1+2, 3-2-1 is nice. They hate getting hit by that. Like, oh man, I feel stupid when she hits me with that whole thing. Hop kick is pretty good for the quick little whiff punishing, obviously. Anytime they're in range, hop kicks are good. Quick little sidestep, boom. But 3-2 is really what you want. That's your go-to whiff punisher. Don't be surprised if this comes up short. It looks like it's rangy, but you can see it's kind of not, right? It's a little deceptively stubby. So you need to be in like a decent range, but when you're doing the dance or whatever it is, you're poking and you're moving, your sidestep, right there you got them. That's what you need. 3-2 is your whiff punisher. So if they make those mistakes, you better be ready with your whiff punishers. And if they do it from further out, forward 2. That's your long range whiff punisher, right into stance. We're partying again. The homing move, also defensively, you got to remember, this is your only way to stop them from moving around you. They're going to jab and sidestep, trying to bait out your linear shit. Well, this is how you stop that. Back 4, indispensable, because it's our only homing move. So it's fast, and you need it to be fast, because this has a lot of heavy lifting to do. Evasive moves can be good on defense. Things like up back 1. This takes a healthy sidestep to her right, and then knocks him down. It's -12 on block, but it's not a huge deal. You get damage and a knockdown. I'm okay with 12. This is super duper evasive, but I don't think it's anywhere near Hwarang. His back 1, that move will just do laps around the moon, man, I tell you what. Fang and Jin have their up forward 2 where they step and then pop you. I think those are probably a little bit better than this. This one is better than, say, Kazumi's and Lily's version. It's just right in the middle. It's a pretty good move. It's evasive and it knocks them down. So that's worth noting. If they're coming at you, you can just whoop off to the side and get them. If they're going to come at you with lows, they're trying to wake you up with lows, you have up forward 3. That hops over lows. And a counter hit, you get a little ground pop. Same with your hop kick. Your hop kick beats lows. Boom. And remember, from the poking section, your forward 3 also beats lows. So these are some nice little defensive tools on their own. You can use this to kind of like keep them out, and this is going to, you know, keep them thinking twice about lows. If you're using these tools to keep them out, they're going to realize they can't just come at you in down 4. That can be important sometimes, right? If they just want to come at you down 4 and then retreat again, this is going to shut the door on that pretty quickly. So that's evasion of moves and jumping over some lows. Let's talk about parries. Down forward 1+2. This little elbow strike, this parries right punches automatically. And when it does, you press 2. I'll just show it to you in the move list since it's already displayed. Down forward 1+2. It changes the move. When it parries, it just kind of like switches out the animation real quick. She spins faster. So once you see it absorb their right punch, you press 2 to get your follow-up. Otherwise, you just get that one hit, right? You can do that hit all on its own. It's a good move still. But when it does parry a right punch, be ready to smack that 2 button. Look what you get. 53 damage. Just from using this move as a defensive tool, if it happens to catch a right punch, and you get that follow-up, that's a grip of damage. She has the same thing built into down back 3+4. This does the same thing versus lows. Good kick all on its own. It's a little bit slow, but if it eats up a low, you get a follow by pressing 1. So take a look at that right here. Pop. You see that animation? You press 1, then she kicks them and then does a follow-up. 43 damage versus any low. Obviously probably doesn't work on swords. Probably doesn't work on Fang's headbutt. Like, I know this one doesn't work on elbows, so it's the general parry rules for the most part. But those are pretty good. To have a move that's just good all around, and if it does happen to eat up a low, you get 40 damage off that low. That's pretty good. That qualifies as good defense in my book. These couple moves that have some excellent defensive properties built in, you can use them to keep yourself safe. The last one is the generic parry. She has a basic parry with back left throw or back plus right throw. This one, however, you do have to input. It's not like a Paul or Nina classic reversal. You have to parry, bang, and then you press 2-1-2 and hit him with that 40 damage. It kind of works the same, right? It's always 40 damage. It always does the same result. You just have to do the input. It's not automatic. You have to press the buttons to make the magic happen. And again, this follows This follows elbow and headbutt rules and stuff like that. But it only works on punches. This is only a punch parry. So mid kicks, high kicks, she's got nothing against it. She has to switch to Power Crush as her other defensive option. So, right, you have no way to predict if your opponent's going to come at you with a punch or a kick. No way. But if you're doing this stuff, right, and you might happen to catch the punch, good for you. Otherwise, if you're trying to use a move to get yourself out of trouble and bail you out, you have Power Crushes. Down forward, 3+4, and down back 1+2. A little bit riskier at the cost of a wall bounce. So that's your evasion and your built-in defensive moves. Not great. Couple moves that go over lows. Moves that can kind of pop you out to the side real quick. Moves with built-in parries, and then Power Crushes. That's enough to get you out of trouble, to get you out of getting pressured at least one time, and then go back to your game. If you continually find yourself getting in pressure like that, you need to start looking at sidestepping more. You need to start looking at keeping them away from you more with mix-ups, right? Keep them frame trapped. Don't give them the opportunity to attack you. So if that's not your game, if you want to try to flip it back on them even faster, you don't have to worry about playing defense. You look at counter hits. You look at counter hits that can stuff their approach. And this is a decent enough realm for this character. She doesn't have a ton of stuff here. A lot of her counter hits result from the middle of setups and mix-ups, which has some startup time. If you're talking about counter hits to just like stuff their approach, Magic 4 is just about the best one that you have. 4-2 leads to a different combo than 4-3. See, 4-3 causes the screw attack right away. The combo video, linked in the description, shows you both of these, and it's easy enough to distinguish. You can throw both of these out if they're coming at you, and like, all right, I'm going to pop them with my Magic 4, there you go. They do different combos, but be warned, they could duck this high, and they could punish this mid at -10. It's not a free Magic 4, and it's only 13 frames of startup, so it's a Magic 4, but it's not the best. But it's good enough, and it has some variety to it, which I also respect. A different twist on the character. Couple different ways to do a Magic 4 combo that's a little bit unconventional, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm glad that it's something different. It's not an easy Magic 4, and it's not a super difficult one either. It's just something different, which is what we need. So when you're trying to counter hit them, you know they're coming at you. That's how you stuff them for the most part, your Magic 4. Back 2-3 is also very good. Just because this is safe, if you catch the counter hit, you get your little 33 damage. If you get that second hit by itself on the counter hit, you get a whole combo out of it. Like that. So that's worth just throwing out in the weird random timing situations. The get out of jail free card. This is a 13 frame startup. So back 2-3 at 13 frames is pretty good to throw out a counter hit to be totally safe. And you might get a combo if they press buttons at just the wrong window. If they try to like mix up your timing or whatever. There's no reason not to go for that one as far as counter hit self-defense. That works really good. Down forward 3+4. Or excuse me. Down forward 3-4. This one, the 2-hit version. This is pretty good too. That's not safe on block, but in counter hit, you get that whole thing and the follow-up. You get 65 damage if that lands on a counter hit. Or you get forward two into stance and start doing that stuff. That's maybe the better option overall in these knockdowns, is to go forward 2, right? And get that kind of stuff for free. So down forward 3-4 is a nice little get off me tool. Just be warned, if you were wrong, they can punish you for it. But man, what you get off of that is pretty good. So that's second place behind back 2-3. Back 2-3 is safe. Down forward 3-4 is not, but the rewards are huge if you get that counter hit. Otherwise, you could use a quick cat stance, right? This isn't that slow. If they're approaching and they're attacking you, you can kind of throw that out real quick and get counter hits. Catfoot 2 isn't bad. You can just sort of do that real quick in self-defense mode if you want to. Not like right here, but like out here, you're trying to bait them to come at you. You can kind of do that and stuff them. The fact that this takes a step forward can really halt their approach, right? If they're out here and they want to do like some forward 4 type of stuff, right? You can just do that. You can do Cat 2 and cover that distance before they get to you. That's a big possibility. Catfoot 4 is much slower, harder to throw that one out. Same with doing all your heaven and earth stuff. You are not going to have time to do this stuff defensively to fish for counter hits. Those are more set up counter hits, and here we're looking at defensive counter hits. So Cat Stance 2 I think qualifies, but that's just about it. Down forward 2. Down forward 2 on counter hit has its own knockdown, and you can just press 1. So instead of going into stance, you don't get a stance mix-up necessarily. On your counter hit, you get that. So that's actually kind of good too. That's a nice get-off-me tool. And if they stopped and just didn't get hit, or they got hit normally, then you get your stance from there. But if they got counter hit, easy 41 damage. So down forward 2 is kind of underrated in that regard. That's kind of it though. Cat foot 2 stance options are generally not as quick. They feel like they're a little bit slower to come out. Even though that's 13 frames, that feels quicker to me. Cat foot 1 into 2 feels quicker. That's the one I like as a self-defense tool out of her stances. But again, you're just as well to do Magic 4 if you want. Right? You can do that and take a teeny bit of risk and get the same result. But Cat Stance 2 isn't too bad in my book. I kind of like that one. Down forward 3-4 is simple and effective, risk reward. Not to mention, there are tons of little other counter hits if you just want to do any stuff, right? You can do all kinds of things. Whatever you feel like it, just start throwing out strings to defend yourself, whatever it might be, you'll catch some counter hits, right? Down forward 4-2. You catch that counter hit, boom, there's damage. There's lots of counter hit follow-ups. But as far as defend yourself, counter hits, there's Magic 4, back 2-3, a riskier version, and down forward 3-4, and Cat Stance 2. Those are the bulk. Down forward 2. Down forward 2 is another good one. That's it. So, 5. 5 good defend yourself counter hits. I think that's about it. So the last thing to really talk about is at mid-range, when you are out here, kind of playing defense, you want to get back in. If you think they're coming at you, sure, defend yourself with one of these things. Right? That's good. But if they're not, if they're just trying to play the waiting game too, you want to be the first one to get back on them. And running 1 is good for that. Running 1 does a nice chunk of damage, and you get both follow-up options. Right? You can do forward 2 into your stances from that move as well. Running 1 is good, but it's a high. It's totally fine, right? I mean, every character has some kind of plus frame running move or whatever. That's fine, you get damage. But forward 2, I think, is even better. Because it covers that ground, and if it makes contact, you're right into stance. If it doesn't make contact, it's only -2 on block. That's such a good move. So mid-range, when the name of the game is get back in there, forward 2 is your #1 way to do so. Right in your stance, mix up territory, let's go. Forward 3 is a launcher. If you think you can kind of just like catch them by surprise with that, it's -14 on block, and it's not really going to push back. You're in trouble if they do block this, but you might be able to just catch them, you know, breathing for a second and get a launch for yourself. It's worth a shot once in a while. Forward 4 gets you in with a nice mid kick, risk-free. There's no problems with this thing. It's safe on block, nice mid kick. But if you switch it up, you do forward 4-3, that's a natural launcher. That little misstep timing might just fake them out enough to get caught by that and get launched. Forward 4-3. Guess what also this is? +8 on block. Right? As if we weren't done with that. That move is +8 on block, and it's a natural launcher. So when it comes to approaching, that's a good start too. Just remember, this is slow. That little feint takes some time, and if they're going to be aggressive about defending themselves, you might want to be careful. You might want to switch to that forward 2 since it's much faster. Last option is forward 3 +4. This is kind of cool. This is safe, knocks them down, jumps over lows. If they don't tech roll, you get the same knockdown follow-up like that. If they do tech roll, it's fine. But mid-range, forward 2, I think, is your best overall tool, because that gets you right back on them, and if it hits, you're in stance party town. Running 1 is also decent, because it just feels good to hit people with those most of the time.